The last knowledge seed of this, doing management research series is about plagiarism. I really want to warn you or create an alert about that. I think, most of the people who are undertaking a PhD, a DBA, or an executive DBA are really into a genuine effort to improve themselves, to create new knowledge, to reflect on an interesting topic. And I would say there are two situations where there could be a problem. A very small minority of students might be actually dishonest, but I think that's often not the case. Well, if that's the case, you get caught. Well, then that's the end of the game for you, and that's pretty much deserved. I mean, there's no room for plagiarism in any sort in a dissertation, whether it's an executive DBA or a PhD. So that certainly won't be tolerated, even less than for other types of studies. I mean, the honesty and the ethics of a researcher is really a fundamental element. If you don't have this trust that the person is doing things honestly, well, there's no possibility for research. So that's an important thing. But what I'm thinking about also is cases where it's more a sliding thing. It's not completely voluntary. It's because of bad practice, and maybe the person doesn't really realize that they're doing an act of plagiarism, or they just do it by neglect, and then you find a page of something that comes from another text because you did a copy paste and forgot to document it. That can happen, and that's a real problem, because then you might be caught in a situation where where you are actually sanctioned for, you're punished for something where you didn't intend to do it. So I want to insist on the rigor of your processes. Never ever copy paste something without fully documenting it, even if it's for 5 minutes. Don't do the thing where you put it somewhere in one of your Word documents and go to the bathroom and don't put something to document it. So even before you go to the bathroom, just put it in bold, put it in highlight, put the quotation marks, because if something happens, you have to take care of your kids or anything, or a colleague asks you to do something, then the text is there, it's in your Word document. Maybe you leave it for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, and then you have a big problem on your hands later down the track. So, well, if it's a question of dishonesty, there's nothing I can do for you. But be very rigorous with your processes. And also be aware about the different rules of how to cite the work of others, how to attribute ideas to others. Remember one thing: we don't ask you in a dissertation, in executive DBA, to contribute that everything that you put in your PhD, in your dissertation, will contribute to new knowledge. We want you to document all existing knowledge, and referencing properly is very important, because that's how you will show that a little bit in the end is your contribution. So there's nothing wrong with using text, reference, ideas from others, as long as you document it. That's actually what you have to do. You have to do a full literature review. We have to know that you have read everything that's relevant, directly relevant to your topic, and we want you to document that, and that's this big chunk of your paper, and then you have a very small contribution. There are thousands of people who have worked before you on related topic, so the fact that you have a small contribution is already really good. So use the ideas of others, just document them properly. So I just wanted to underline a few key points about plagiarism. Basically, there's one broad definition that would be admitted by others. So it's really failing to acknowledge the ideas of others and the writings of others. And obviously, it's a very serious issue. So let's review a few cases where that would happen. You went to the bathroom and you forgot the quotation marks. 1 month down the track, you've forgotten that you have pasted something, and it integrates nicely with what you had written before, so you don't notice it. And maybe also you want to write quickly the next section, and so you leave a full section of text with no quotation marks. Well, that's obviously plagiarism. But there are more subtle forms. You reformulate an idea, but you don't acknowledge the original author. And again, maybe it's because you have written it with the text and then you forgot to put the name of the author. Well, that's a big problem. If you follow exactly the same line of argument and don't document the author, that's really problematic. Same thing with ideas. If somebody gave you an idea and it comes from a book or something, even if it's not the exact text, you should cite them. And it's actually much better because, again, it helps you to position the knowledge that you are creating in relation to existing knowledge. So you want this base, you want this foundation of the existing knowledge. Incomplete citation, so that's more around form. So let's say you don't give the full reference. Plagiarism is also the case when you don't really give any personal input. So we still expect you to bring existing knowledge together to create a synthesis. So if it's just about ideas of others, well, it can either be characterized as plagiarism, or it can be cases where it can be something where we just say, well, there's no contribution, so you need your personal input. And obviously, proper citations will apply for images, figures, tables, etc., etc., etc. So don't use images that are not free, but also quote your sources, give the references about everything, especially for figure and tables, because there might be some copyright issues there. I'll let you refer to, there are 2 more slides that give you more precise examples of plagiarism, and that's for you to have a look. Please take the time and read through them, just so that you know precisely what the rules of the game are, and so that you don't get caught in silly cases of plagiarism that would embarrass everybody and put you in a very, very difficult situation. Now, we're at the end of this series about doing management research. I just wanted to briefly conclude. We have seen practical things about how to conduct research, and we covered various aspects. A last message I wanted to give you was about, well, the first thing is about ethics. It's a very important aspect of research, and we expect you to really behave ethically about ideas, about how you deal with your empirical research, about the way you deal with people you are talking with in the field. So think about your ethics and what you are trying to achieve, and about avoiding any ethical breach. The second thing is, it's a hard journey, it's hard work, and you are doing it while working at the same time. So it's a big effort. Being reflexive is very important. Constantly think about what you are doing, whether it's the core of the research, whether it's the actual reading and putting together the lit review and putting together the design, but it's also on your practice as a researcher. How you do things, how you write, how you read, and really thinking, is that the best way? How do you use your supervisor? How do you use other resources in your environment? How do you relate to others, and actually make sure you have the proper balance between your private and personal life? It can be sometimes difficult to combine all these on all these activities. So really reflect on your practices, but also what the dissertation, the DBA, does to you and for you. Keep thinking about, when you make all these choices, about how you feel in relation to it and how it helps you progressing your knowledge or progressing your career, or a combination of the two, helping the world, if that's part of what you are trying through that. So, you know, it's a long journey, and this reflexive approach is probably one of the best tip you can have, because it will help you to go through that journey. I wish you good luck, and I'm looking forward to reading great dissertations. Thank you.